Am I the jerk for questioning my siblings' weddings? I got married the year before my sister, but my parents did not approve of who I wanted to marry because I am gay, so they said not to expect them to pay for it and that I was not allowed to invite any of the family to my wedding. They eventually gave us £200 towards the buffet because my aunt wanted to come, and I do not think they wanted to admit to her that they contributed nothing. My partner and I had a very low-budget wedding and are still happily married 18 years later. My sister got married the year after, and my parents funded a very lavish wedding for her. I was supposed to be a bridesmaid at this wedding, but my sister replaced me with one of her friends without telling me. I still do not know why. I have always presumed it was because I have a couple of small tattoos on my upper arms, and the dress we all chose was sleeveless. She might have thought I would ruin the wedding photos. We had gone to a makeup store and tried to get some cover-up for them after the dress choosing day, but none of the foundations covered them completely, which led me to assume this. Recently, I heard from a family member that she had told them I had thrown a tantrum about wearing a dress and wanted to wear a trouser suit as a bridesmaid, and that is why she ditched me. I am really hurt that she lied to people and feel like everyone must be thinking I am a really horrible person. My sister and her husband divorced less than 5 years later after he cheated on her. My sister is now getting married again, and my parents are again paying for a very fancy wedding at a posh venue. I have buried my feelings for many years for the sake of keeping the peace, but this has brought it all to the surface again, and I feel like I've been snubbed by my family yet again. We are not very well off, and I never asked my parents for money, but I feel like my wedding fund was taken away and given to her instead. I want to say something about how hurt I feel and ask why I was dropped from the first wedding, and why she gets 2 big fancy weddings while I got nothing. I am worried it makes me sound like an unkind person. Some boats are better off just letting go past. Will it make things better or worse to know the truth? Live your best life and rub their noses in it. Let them live tiny, narrow lives. Would I be the asshole if I got a tattoo of one of our 2 cats? I have been with my fiancé for almost 2 years. I have had a tattoo of my first cat on my foot for 11 years. He passed away 7 years ago but was always my soul cat. My fiancé has had a cat that she's had since a kitten in 2020. When my fiancé lived in another house, this cat, A, was more loving and affectionate toward me as she couldn't go out so much. Since we moved in together last November, A has been going out a lot more and is much less affectionate, but would still give me cuddles. We had talked about getting a second cat when we moved in together since last year. My dad passed away suddenly at the beginning of this year, which initiated a month of bereavement leave for my partner and 3 months for myself. When our leave was granted, we decided to rescue a cat, BB. When we got a B, he was very timid and scared in the new house. It took a long time to gain his trust to get him out from hiding, which took hours of me sitting on the floor with my hands stretched under furniture so he could get my scent and learn that I could be trusted. A noticed the new cat and has been less affectionate toward me since we got BBA, and BD get along like brother and sister. Some affection but lots of kitty play fights. Bede helped a lot with my grieving. Although we have only had him for 6 months, I feel he is my soul cat. He will follow me wherever I go and give me affection as my childhood cat used to. I don't see A a lot, mostly only at mealtimes, and then she goes out for hours on end. I try to give A as much affection as I can, but she's very independent and it's all on her own terms. BB is a lap cat. He will follow me wherever I go, give me cuddles even if it's inconvenient, and will lay on my chest if I'm sad or stressed out. To me, this is a soul cat, as it's as if he knows how I am feeling and wants to make it better. This was especially true when I was grieving my dad, and we grew particularly close as I was home so much and didn't want to go out. I haven't had a new tattoo for years, so today I have brought up my idea again, as my tattooist is opening her book soon. This started an argument as my partner said it's not fair to our other cat. I understand her thinking on it, but explained that she is closer with A and I am closer with BB. I have also told her how I feel about my relationship with BPE and how he helped me so much when I was grieving my dad. I said this didn't take away from my love of AA, but this is another reason I wanted to get a second cat, as A isn't as affectionate toward me as she is to my fiancé. So would I be the bad person if I got a tattoo of cat, BB, on the opposite foot to my childhood soul cat, and not a tattoo of our cat A that my partner had for 2 years before we met? Your fiancé's argument is pretty silly, considering the cats aren't going to know. She seems to be getting confused between your relationship with her and your relationship with her cat. She needs to sort out her thoughts and emotions. Just tell her that if the other cat complains, then you'll get a tattoo of it as well. Am I the jerk for refusing to sign the sublease agreement when my friend has already signed the lease agreement for our apartment? A friend and I are going to start studying and we've decided to move in together. We have now found an apartment that we would need a third roommate for. Our studies are going to start in about 2 months, and it doesn't look like we are going to find a third person. The problem, my friend has already signed the lease agreement. Now that I've realized that finding a third person is probably not going to happen, I don't want to sign the sublease agreement until we've found someone because, of course, I don't want to pay half the rent for a third person. Now, here's my issue with this whole situation. My friend always strove for perfection. He only wanted the perfect apartment, while I didn't care too much about that. Whenever I've sent him apartments that were totally fine, he would always find the tiniest thing, such as the color of the floor or the way the kitchen looks, and instantly dismiss the apartments. This made it incredibly difficult to find something with him. There were literally only about 5 apartments, all of them rather expensive from his and my research combined, that he found to be acceptable. He lied to me about his budget and tried to gaslight me. In the beginning, he told me that his budget was, I'm going to slightly change these numbers, $1,300 per month. Long before we even started searching, I told him that my budget was $900 per month max. When we found a person that was willing to almost pay the price for the 3rd room, missing $50, I asked him if he could go up a little. He isn't even close to paying $1,300 because he said his budget was $1,300. He then said that he never said his budget was $1,300 and that this was his budget for living alone. Why would his budget for living alone be higher? Also, why did he tell me his budget for living alone and not for living together when we obviously want to move in together? Of course, he doesn't have to pay more than he wants, but he's obviously trying to gaslight me, which is not okay. He also said that I originally stated my budget was $950, which I can't remember saying, but it could be true. What I can remember though is that long before we even started searching for an apartment, I made it clear to him that my budget was $900. I told him from the beginning that it would be hard to find someone for that apartment since it is quite expensive, but he insisted that there wouldn't be a problem. Now he's realizing that there indeed is going to be a problem. I know that what I'm doing doesn't show solidarity, but I also have to protect myself and my parents, who are the ones paying for this whole thing. Am I the asshole? You are not at fault here. This guy demands the best for his apartment, leads you to believe the budget is solid, then signs the lease without being fully prepared. Do not shackle yourself to him financially. If there's already this much drama and you haven't even moved in together, it's only going to get worse. Think of all the hang-ups you'll discover later. Get out while you can. Am I the jerk for talking behind my friend's back? Hello, I am a 15-year-old female who has recently faced some conflict with a friend who is also a 15-year-old female. The whole thing is an absolutely complex mess and would probably take a long time to unpack. I might post about it in our relationships or our relationship advice. The main people here are me, Mary, John, and Anna. There are 3 other friends in the group as well. This year we noticed that Mary was becoming more distant from us. Something was clearly bothering her, but she would always defer when asked. This happened from the absolute beginning of the school year, almost every day. We checked in with her and she would always defer, making our worries for her pile up. About 1 month ago, she was distant from us to the point that it was extremely concerning. She had indications of severe exhaustion and seemed mentally burnt out. All the concern that built up for me just kind of exploded then. I consulted John, who was very worried as well, and we both agreed to support her the best we could. We finished our school year a few weeks ago. There was a bit of tension during summer over another matter, and this happened after she and I finished dealing with that. As I noticed she was once again being closed off towards me, I asked her about her reluctance to open up to us, and I would greatly appreciate it if she could share what was bothering her. The contents of the long reply are something I'll have to unpack separately, but the main incident that continuously emerged in the text was that she found out I was talking behind her back, saying that she was the distant friend. That made her very angry at me and lose all her trust in me, so she never even thought about opening up. I broke down and cried after finishing the text and spent that night awake thinking about what I did wrong. However, I recalled that I never negatively discussed her demeanor, just my concerns for her well-being, and that I only spoke to John, who was equally worried about her. On a call with Anna, who moved away, I found out that Mary had told her that John told me that OP was talking behind my back. I knew John would never do that, and Anna was confused about it as well, so I called him later. I asked him about this and got the following answer. He only told Mary that he and I were concerned for her well-being and wanted to find a way to help her. He said very clearly that he also did not describe her or me in any negative way, and he just expressed his concern for her in a call. I felt horrible and inconsiderate at first, but after this, I'm mad at her for misinterpreting concern as talking behind her back, apparently losing all trust she had in me for this misinterpretation, and sharing this misinterpretation and sharing this misinformation to our other friend as well. But then I'm also mad at myself for being mad at her because I feel like a bad person. Am I the asshole? Please help me here. I genuinely don't know at this point. You did nothing to deserve criticism. From the given information, this seems like a classic dilemma where either John is lying to you with some interest in disrupting your relationship with Mary, or Mary herself is misinterpreting your concern as disrespect. It might be worth figuring out whose account of events you trust more, and then reevaluating the relationship. Also, consider if you want to stay friends with someone who easily believes you talk behind their back. Am I the jerk for raising my voice at a teacher at my former high school? I graduated from my high school in 2021, and since I study music, I went back to my high school every summer to help rehearse the pit orchestra for the graduation. The school has a no phones policy. Students cannot bring their phones into classes, and they cannot use them at any point within the school hours. When I am at my high school, I have a badge that says Student Volunteer. They only had 2 kinds of badges that either say Visitor or Student Volunteer. Neither fit my description, but they decided that student volunteer should suffice. With the badge, I get access to the campus during school hours, and usually, no one will bother me. I look young for my age, having not grown facial hair even at 21 years old. I probably look like your typical overweight student in the junior or senior year. I went there this summer in late May, as usual. One day after lunch, I had some time to kill because there was no music class immediately after lunch that day. I was on my phone in the lounge area outside of the cafeteria, and soon the confrontation began. A teacher whom I did not know, probably one of the teachers hired after I graduated, approached me with his hands making a "gimme that" gesture, referring to my phone. Most times, the teachers realize I am just a young-looking graduate and leave me be. This time, however, he insisted that the badge saying student volunteer did not prove that I was not a student. He demanded my student ID, which of course I did not have. "Why are you not in class and on your phone?" he asked. "Sorry, but I'm not a student," I replied. "Where's your excuse slip? If your parents aren't here, you can't be here," he continued. "Oh, but I am only here to help with the orchestra," I explained. This went on and on for quite a bit, and it was getting ridiculous. I started to get very frustrated. I did the unthinkable. I looked at his badge, which displayed his first and last name, and called him by his first name. "Hey, I'm technically your coworker. Look, first name, you can go ask anyone at the front office about me. I'm not giving you my phone, that's ridiculous." "Have a nice day," I said firmly. He seemed furious. He shrugged and said, "Okay, me name, you can stop that. I will report this to Mr. I Vice Principal." I was so done with that situation by then that I grabbed my backpack and left. I could hear him say, "Really?" behind me. I brought this up with another teacher who has kept in touch with me, and she explained that there have apparently been incidents where students steal badges and sneak out, and that may be why he was giving me a hard time. I am not sure if the teacher ended up reporting me. I cringe a little when I think of this incident because I barely ever raised my voice. Nothing gets me more frustrated than being accused of something I am not guilty of, and pretty much every time I had a real argument with someone, it was because of this. Your actions don't make you a jerk. It seems like a routine misunderstanding that got a little tense. His misunderstanding was very understandable, and the fact that he didn't believe you is frustrating but also not surprising. What you said also didn't cross a line. It may be useful for someone to introduce you to the teachers so it doesn't happen again. Am I the jerk for not letting my girlfriend's little brother beat me in a 1v1 game? My girlfriend mentioned that her 13-year-old brother plays Rocket League and is quite good at it. I joked about having a 1v1 match with him since I used to play the game a bit myself. She took it seriously and suggested we play, thinking it would be good bonding time with her little brother, as I had no interactions with him until then. She thought it would be nice to see, so I didn't mind it at all. The next day, I, a 17-year-old male, was on a call with her. She said her brother wanted to play, so we set it up. The kid started trash-talking randomly and cursing at me out of nowhere, which I could hear as she talked to him separately. She laughed, but did tell him to stop. This caught me off guard because I have family his age who wouldn't act like that. I decided not to go easy on him as I originally planned. The match started and I realized he wasn't too good, so I won the game. I decided to be a good sport and said good game to him. The worst thing I did was throw in a cheeky what a save after my first goal, but I left it at that. She told me that he was really angry that he lost and asked for a rematch. I accepted the rematch and started playing normally again. She asked me to go easy on him, so I let him get a point, which was immediately met by him being toxic again in the main chat. After seeing that, I decided not to go easy on him anymore and won the second game. She told me that he was really mad that he lost twice. I asked her to tell him to do another game where I would let him win, but he declined. I offered that we do duos and play together, which he accepted. We played a few games, lost some, but ended up on a winning streak and left it there. He asked me to play another game, but I told him I was getting off. In the end, it all seemed pretty positive to me because I was a good sport about the wins, and played some ranked games with him after managing to win together. Sometime later, she told me that he was still upset about losing the friendly game to me and didn't care much about the ranked wins we had after. She was annoyed at me for not letting him win. I tried to explain to her that he was being really insulting for no reason, and that it's not good practice to let him win after that behavior. She responded saying, "Who am I to try to teach her brother a lesson, and that he's a kid and I'm older, so I should have let him win regardless." I tried to explain my side, but she disagreed and was really annoyed that I didn't let her brother win. She found it immature and childish that I let the insults get to me and decided not to let him win. So, I just want to know, am I the asshole for not letting her little brother win, and what could I have done differently here? You are not responsible for this. By the time you're 13, you should be able to lose gracefully and understand that while you may be good at something, someone else may be better. He needed an ego check, and you did him a favor. The world is going to hit him hard if he thinks that everybody is going to let him win. Now, maybe he will work at getting better. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.